crude instruments, crude and primal. This is a part of our primal nature, to capture and kill. This is where most of these films fail.
Well, it's about a guy, a young man of privilege, who is addicted, I guess, to, for lack of a better word, or is enamored with snuff films. He really enjoys watching them, but thinks he can do them better, so he, hires, not hires, but buys a really good professional quality camera and decides to make one of his own.
Every day she walks this path alone. No one ever comes here. And why would they? Old New England legend has it that prior to the term serial killer ever even existing, young women used to enter this field, never to be heard from again. There is no place more perfect than here to begin my work, turning myth into reality.
Being a cinematographer on a horror film is really fun. It's something I wanted to do.
Yeah, fun why?
There's sort of no limit to what you can kind of get away with, and it's all about the camera anyway, and trying to creep people out, so that's kind of a fun thing.
This was a little violent, this movie, so a little violent.
A little bit. I guess a lot of acting just comes from having something to draw from.
Mm-hmm.
And my day job, I guess, there's a lot to draw from that. Like, I'm a child care worker when I'm not acting, and it's a population of children who have a lot of traumas in their history, and I hear a lot of stories every day. And when I think trauma, I have a lot to draw on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've seen a lot of horror movies, so I know exactly what he was talking about with the female being the victim, the guys always attacking them. So, I just try to think about that. I try to not get a swagger, but try to be like, okay, what if it's like to have a male kind of confidence and see, if they can do it, well, and just seeing a woman being that kind of violent anyways is always a shock.
Right.
I don't know, I wouldn't even call it because when you hear horror, you think splatter, gore.
Right.
So it's not even like a traditional horror movie. It's very, very psychological. And the fact that it's very short too, and doesn't belabor the violence or the build up to it, that makes it so much more powerful because you're just like, what just happened?
Well, there's certainly a psychological element to this. There is. I don't know that I would go as far as to say it's like the torture porn, hostile, Saw type movies, but there is graphic violence in this.
I love horror. I'm a big horror movie fan.
Can you explain a little bit why?
I've always been a big horror movie fan, and I think there's a lot of people who aren't into horror movies, and I feel like the common misconception is that horror movie directors are sadistic. But I think that the true role of a horror movie director or a horror writer is to delve into their own fear and to face their own fear. And I think that's really what it's about.
Do you think that's what happened with this?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. At the same sense, there's also a sense of justice in it, I think, potentially, or a sense of, sometimes nature is more complicated, and the idea of dominance and the idea of what isn't dominant in nature can shift when the elements of surprise is introduced.